ever feel that pull towards something bigger, like a yearning for something more?
We all feel that, right?
Well, today we're diving into the Urantia book, and it has some pretty interesting ideas about that yearning, like this idea of a thought adjuster.
Ah, the thought adjuster.
It's a pretty mind-blowing concept when you really think about it.
It really is. The Urantia book claims that a fragment of the universal father, a piece of the source of everything.
Wait, hold on. A piece of the universal father, not just something created by the universal father.
That's what it says, yep. A fragment existing within each of us.
Okay, now that's a lot to unpack. We're talking about a part of the universal father residing within our minds. I mean, that's not some vague higher power we're talking about here.
No, not vague at all. It's pretty specific. And it makes you wonder if a piece of the universal father is invested in our growth, in your growth. What does that say about the potential of the human journey?
Whoa. Okay, that's a big question. It kind of makes you look at your life, even just like the everyday stuff, a bit differently. You know?
Right. It makes you think.
So if this thought adjuster, this fragment of the divine, is inside us, what's it doing in there? Is it like, I don't know, a little voice telling us what to do?
That's a common thought, but the Urantia book is pretty clear that the adjuster doesn't work by controlling us.
Okay, that's good to know. Wouldn't want to feel like a puppet.
Right. No puppets here. But it does say it's there to help us grow spiritually, to become more godlike.
Okay, so not about control, but about helping us evolve. What does that even look like, though? I mean, in a practical sense.
Well, the book suggests it's subtle, like a nudge in the right direction towards choices that align with our best selves.
Subtle, huh? Not a booming voice.
Not quite. More like a wellspring of wisdom, always beside you, you know, there to illuminate the path toward your potential.
I like that, illuminating the path. Not dragging us down it, but more like subtly guiding us.
Exactly. It's like, imagine having a friend, someone incredibly wise and compassionate, and their perspective is something you could never see on your own, right? But they offer it freely. That's kind of the adjuster's role.
Like your own personal cosmic advisor.
Something like that. And this is where it gets even more interesting.
Oh, how so?
The Urantia book talks about different types of adjusters.
Different types.
Yeah, and it's not a hierarchy, like some are better than others, but more like a classification based on their experience.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so what kind of classifications are we talking about here?
Well, you've got your virgin adjusters, for one.
Virgin adjusters, what does that even mean?
Well, they're brand new to this whole indwelling a human thing. It's their first time.
Wow. Can you imagine being a virgin adjuster, experiencing everything for the first time through a human's eyes?
Talk about a learning curve, right? Thrown right into the deep end of human experience.
Makes you wonder what that would be like, what it would even feel like for them, and if they're learning just as much as we are.
Right. And then on the completely opposite end, you have supreme adjusters. These are the ones who've been through countless human lifetimes. They've seen it all.
So they're like the veterans of the adjuster world.
Exactly. They've witnessed the whole tapestry of human experience, the good, the bad, everything in between.
Wow. That's kind of mind-blowing. If you have a supreme adjuster, it's like having this incredibly ancient being with you. All that experience, all that wisdom.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? If they've been on this journey countless times before, what have they learned? And could that shape the guidance they give us today?
Okay, see, now this is a lot to process. We're saying these adjusters are fragments of a pre-personal God. But they can also, like, make choices and guide us. Isn't that kind of contradictory?
Yeah, it's a question that gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? I mean, how can something be part of this ultimate unity, this one source, but still have its own individual will? To, like, choose things, have goals.
Right. It's like saying a drop of water can decide which part of the ocean it wants to be in.
Exactly. It's a paradox. And, you know, this is where the Urantia book kind of throws up its hands a little bit.
What do you mean?
Well, it doesn't pretend to have all the answers. It basically says even highly evolved beings, like way beyond us, don't fully understand the mysteries of the adjuster.
So we're left with this paradox. They're fragments of the universal father, capable of amazing things. But the book also says even it doesn't know everything about how they work.
Pretty much. It's like they're saying, look, we get it, it's a lot, but trust us, it's real.
Okay, but how are we supposed to wrap our heads around that? Especially as we go deeper into this stuff.
Right. It's tricky. Maybe it takes a different way of thinking. Like, we're so used to thinking in opposites. Something's either separate or it's merged, one or the other. But what if the adjuster goes beyond those categories?
Okay, now you've really lost me. What's that even mean, practically speaking? If my adjuster isn't separate from me, but not totally merged with me, then what? What's the relationship?
Think of it this way. And the Urantia book actually uses this analogy. Think of the sun's energy, right? It's not alive in the way we usually think about it, but it powers life. It influences everything, the weather, plants growing, everything. But it's not like the sun is making choices about it, right?
Okay, I think I see where you're going with this.
It's like the adjuster operates on a level we don't get. We can see they do something, they have an effect. But the mechanics of it, how it all actually works, total mystery, even to like super advanced beings.
So it's like we're dealing with forces beyond our comprehension, which is kind of cool, but also kind of frustrating when you're trying to understand it.
For sure. And maybe that's part of the point. It's about accepting that we don't know it all, that our human understanding is just a tiny part of something way, way bigger.
It's like trying to understand the ocean by just looking at like one drop of water.
Perfect analogy. You can analyze that drop, but the ocean itself, that's a whole other level.
Okay, I can get behind that. So we might not get the how, but what about the what? How does this divine fragment, this adjuster, actually interact with our human minds?
Right, right.
Does it think for us, override our thoughts?
Yeah.
I gotta say, that always kind of freaked me out a little. Like some sci-fi horror movie.
Understandable, but the Urantia book is really clear on this one. The adjuster has a mind-like quality, yes, but it's not your mind. It doesn't take over. No thought control going on here.
Okay, that's a relief. Free will is still a thing, even with a piece of the universal father hanging out in my head.
Absolutely, 100%. The book even says that human will has total precedence. You're in the driver's seat. Always. It's more like, think of it as guidance. Little nudge here and there. Not a puppeteer yanking you around.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. But if it's not a separate voice in our heads, how does it make itself known?
That is the million-dollar question. And like a lot of things in the Urantia book, the answer is a little mysterious, but it does give us some clues.
Oh, like what? How does this guidance actually show up in our lives?
It's tough to explain, you know? Like trying to describe a sunset to someone who's never actually seen one.
I get it. Words only go so far.
Right. But the book talks about intuition. Like, that's one way the adjuster communicates. These little nudges, these flashes of insight that kind of appear out of nowhere.
You ever get that feeling?
Yeah.
Like you just know something is right, even if you don't know why.
Exactly. Or those times when you're really struggling with a tough decision, then boom, clear as day, the answer just pops into your head.
So you're saying those aha moments,
Yeah.
those gut feelings we get, could be our adjuster at work.
Could be. It's like this gentle guidance pushing us ever so slightly towards a deeper understanding.
Makes you want to pay more attention to those moments, doesn't it? Instead of brushing them off.
It really does. Like, what if we started actually listening to that little voice inside? The one that speaks so quietly, we often miss it.
And here's the thing. It's not just about these little nudges. It's about something way bigger. This whole journey, this dance between our own will and the adjuster's guidance, it's all leading to something the Urantia book calls fusion.
Fusion. Yeah, that's where things get really interesting.
This idea that we, in our limited human forms, have the potential to actually merge with a fragment of the universal father.
You become one with the divine.
It's almost too much to comprehend. Like, what would that even be like?
Beyond our understanding, that's for sure. But it makes you think, you know. Our purpose for being here has to be something pretty amazing if that's the end goal.
It's like this ultimate mystery. And even if we don't have all the answers, even if we never fully grasp it, there's a kind of comfort in that, isn't there? Knowing that no matter what life throws at us, we've got this piece of something incredible inside us, guiding us, supporting us.
Yeah. And reminding us that we're not alone. In this vast, crazy universe, we've got a piece of the Universal Father right here with us.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Urantia book and this wild concept of the thought adjuster, I think the biggest takeaway for me is a sense of wonder, this awareness that there's more to us than meets the eye.
More than we can even imagine.
Exactly. And maybe that's the point, to keep asking those big questions, to keep searching, to keep diving deeper into these mysteries. Until next time, everyone.